Want to know how to apply interfacing like a pro? If you've got a couple of sewing projects under your belt, you've likely come across interfacing. It's used in sewing to add extra structure or firmness to certain areas of a garment, such as cuffs, button plackets, collars, and waistbands. It's applied to the wrong side of the fabric, it's usually the first step in the sewing pattern instructions, and isn't visible on the outside of the garment. Which type of interfacing you choose will depend on the fabric you're using for your project. The main thing is to ensure that the interfacing is a similar weight to the fabric you're using so that it adds firmness but doesn't make it too firm. Here's our 5 tips for interfacing. Press up and down. With a hot dry iron, when applying the interfacing, try not to move the iron back and forth. Instead, use an up and down motion so you don't squidge up the interfacing while the glue is melting. Stretch interfacing can work with woven fabrics too. Don't have any woven interfacing to hand? Want to add a bit more flexibility to your garments? Try using stretch interfacing to allow a bit more movement to woven fabrics on areas such as waistbands and cuffs. Avoid glue mess. Nobody wants to chance ruining their fabric mid-sew. If you're unsure about what temperature to use when applying interfacing, start the iron off on a low heat setting, turning it up as needed, and turn off the steam to prevent the moisture causing a sticky situation. Alternatively, you could use a pressing cloth or sheet of paper as an extra layer of protection between your iron and your fabric, in which case you can turn the heat up higher and add the steam. Try to avoid the glue side of the interfacing touching the iron plate or your ironing board cover when it's hot. Ensure the fabric is layered over it to avoid glue stains. Let it cool. If you're a speedy sewist, you might be at risk of sewing while your pattern pieces are still hot. Let your fabric cool completely before you start sewing, otherwise you can risk the interfacing puckering up. Cut the interfacing before slippery fabrics. Small pieces, such as neckline facings and collar pieces, can be particularly tricky to cut accurately in slippery fabric. Cut the interfacing first, then fuse it to your uncut fabric. Then you can simply cut around the outside of the interfacing piece, basically using it as a template. Now you're ready to tackle interfacing your sewing project like a pro.